let's get into the films.
Yeah, so I think, as you said, that numbers wise, only Romancham was probably the only box office success. But content wise, I think we both will have to agree that there was nothing more spectacular than Nanpakal Nirattumayakam. I mean,
Yeah.
we both, and maybe the audiences can also agree, doesn't matter how much numbers it did on box office, but just as a visual spectacle, as a and being fans of LJP as we are, I mean, that was absolutely, he keeps hitting it out of the park every time, on a different topic, different genre, and with so much success every time. Like, success as in, like, from hardcore viewers and fans like us, we always find something special in every outing of his, and this time again, so what was your first impression of the film?
Oh, I knew it. Like it's given when it's a LGB movie, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
It's just about how now this time, figuring out how we'll do it. And he
Mm.
did it again. It's like I don't like you get a filmmaker like that in one in a century or
Mm.
whatever, however you may want to see it.
Yeah.
And maybe his films are not something that will be appreciated by everyone. Maybe it's not films are supposed to go out and be a Pathan. No,
Mm.
that's not what his films are. It's just people who love cinema are gonna watch it, and they'll fall in love with what he does
Yeah.
and cannot wait for next time. Because I think sometimes what happens, right, we consume so much content that every time you watch something you feel like, yeah, I've seen this somewhere or the other. Maybe the packaging is different, maybe it's somewhat different but something similar.
Mm.
But LGB is someone who every time gives you something fresh, and
Yeah.
it brings back the love of cinema, that you are watching something and you have no idea, you have not, you have no reference to go to
Mm.
and understand. I've seen this somewhere or this somewhere and that somewhere. It's not like a puzzle piece of I got it correct. It's like totally fresh, totally new. And it's like that first, like a baby moment when you first see something and understand something,
Mm.
that value that he brings every time you watch his film, that's what happens. So I think it was given his film would be great. There
Do
was
you
no questions.
do you think it's a conscious choice he makes, that I just cannot be repetitive? I don't want to continue with the safe formula that I've done in the past, that something has worked and I'll make something around that, or because every time it's not just the content or the storyline, but even so this was completely, the camera was still. So that is again something new that he experimented with. So do you think it's a conscious choice on his part?
No, I would love to ask him when I get to meet him any day, but I don't think so, because I think it all comes from it's a process.
Mm.
Like when you try to make music, right?
Yeah.
I think you're not thinking of, oh, I've done that before, I cannot do it again. You're just going into the flow. You're thinking how it will work, and then maybe when you analyze later, you see, oh, it's not something. I every time try to create something new. It's not a. I don't think people like him sit and like, no, now I'll make something new. I think it's just very instinctive to them. It's a process. There's a reason why camera is still. It's not like I just want to try something different, so I'll
Yeah.
just keep the camera still, unlike how I move it around a lot in previous films.
Mm.
It's, I think, the demand of what they're trying to do. So I just feel, we when we analyze too much some things, we feel everything is planned.
Mm.
But when you find out, really, it's all just, in the process, it just happened. There's no rule or law behind it doing things.
I mean, to each his own, like you said about music. So, like, the first instincts are never uh, being made. Like, it's that thought never comes to your mind that let me make something different consciously, when you are
Hmm.
just uh, like compiling the raw thoughts, the first ideas. But later on, when you get into the technical side of things, like, when I do the music arrangements and instrumentation, that's where those things then sort of seep in, that, I think from the audience perspective, like, would my audience get bored if I do something similar which I've done before, or should I be providing them a newer experience this time? Or what if, people start thinking that he can do songs only in this particular genre or this style. So these are the things which come on later on, like in the process. But early on, as you said, like when it's about the first raw idea that you have, that's where you go by instincts and don't overthink with these things. So I think that answers everything. So now the next one, I think again we both, and if people can consider it a 2023 release going by OTT, Mukundan Unni Associates. I mean, that
Yeah.
was probably, in a long time, it's my favorite dark comedy. And it's also because not just in Malayalam cinema, but even in Bollywood or other industries, we don't see a lot of well executed black cinema, black comedy genre being explored. And they did it and did it with so much of conviction. So like, I think you saw it a little later and reviewed
Yeah,
it
I
a little later
almost saw it in
after.
Feb. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what were you delaying it for some reason, or like?
No, I was just on a break in a way in Jan,
Okay.
and it was supposed to come on Jan 13th on OTT. So
Yeah.
I just, yeah, saw it in Feb, late, something like that,
You
mid
must
Feb.
have you must have tried very hard to, keep yourself away from
Yeah.
spoilers and everything.
Like I could have, just watched it and maybe made the video later, but then I thought, it just becomes too late.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are not fresh enough.
Yeah.
So I thought whenever I see it, then only I'll make the video. So I just avoid it.
And like when you were late, was it in demand in the comment section? Like, why you're not
Yeah.
making about it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always in.
And
Every film that comes out is in
and
demand.
finally, when you got to it, like, was it
Yeah.
worth the wait? And like, did you watch it just once, or
No, no,
uh
I showed it to my parents also.
okay?
And I think you're talking about dark comedy. Right? I think what makes it stand out is that we get a lot of dark comedies, but all of them has a, like a message of karma, or,
Mm,
a message of, everything comes full circle, whatever you
yeah.
do, all of that really happens. And I think why this one stands out, just like, the comparisons to Nightcrawler, that this is
Yeah.
a story of, and the protagonist is actually the villain,
Yeah.
and he'll not fail.
Mm,
That's the how dark the film is ready to go. And it doesn't care if you get offended, if you think it's a good thing or not thing to show him of evil guy winning.
mm,
And because that's what the film is trying to portray, the society is, that's what the society benefits, people like those benefit from. So, in that sense, I think that's why it stands out, because in today's time, which is like there's so much demand of political correctness, to make a movie like this and do it unabashedly, without thinking, without a doubt, a single
mm,
doubt. Like, I was expecting it to take a turn where things go wrong, and he finally gets, justice is delivered in a way. But no, they don't care. And I think I've been following the director, and I've been seeing his comments, and I understood from that he's that kind of personality. And being in Malayalam cinema, the industry, that's the biggest benefit you get, that you can have your own voice. This film couldn't be made in, I will not make statement like that, but I feel it's very hard to make it in definitely Bollywood. I don't know other South Indian industries. In Bollywood, you cannot make this film, because there'll be so much political pressure, there'll be so much pressure from various things, then you have to add a song and this and
yeah.
that, because there's money involved. So you
Plus, we are,
cannot
you know,
have this voice intact.
here we are so used to see the good guy win at the end, and that kind of an underdog story, which people love. And like, one
Like
of the
Anurag Kashyap also does films, right? Like
yeah,
it's not like good versus bad and good people win always. But again, we know how much struggle he has to go through to even get
yeah,
out his film. What he all faces, and he's the only one, I would say, in Bollywood who can have his freedom, because he doesn't put in so much money.
yeah, yeah. I
You know,
mean, yeah, something like Raman Raghav comes to mind. Uh,
yeah,
so I get that. And the good part on the director's aspect here, I thought, was like, he knows these kind of people exist in real life, and some people just don't change. So it's okay to make stories about them as well, because they are a part of our society as much as anybody else. So it's kind of like if you remember Tallumala last year. So like
Yeah.
how even that at the end they are still the same. People
Nothing changes. Yeah.
who do these shenanigans, and uh, even at the end of Tallumala or at the end of Mukunda Nuni Associates, like it's it's rooted to the realism, the realistic stuff that we see all around us. And as films reflect what society we live in, so it's completely okay. And it's I was enjoying it for a fact that somebody's kind of making a film about these guys being protagonists in a film. Like, we have seen side characters for sure in every industry
Yeah.
like these, but we have never seen somebody as a, like some like the protagonist Breaking Bad, probably going from Walter White to Heisenberg, and still justifying it at the end that I
Nah,
did
no
it for
spoilers.
myself. You haven't seen Breaking Bad?
No,
Yeah, then you are doing a great disservice to yourself.
I know, but just 5 seasons. It's just, yeah,
It's
time.
worth. I know you are a busy guy, but it's worth, man. It's like if you just watch one episode per day, you'll.
See, I know
It's
once I start, I'll definitely finish that.
Yeah.
That's my like thing. If I start something, I'll finish it. But it's just to get to the start point, because every time I have something else, the priority list just keeps going down. So it's just yeah.
So coming back to the original topic, so after these two, like, which movie was probably another pick that you think that was really worth?
I think we have to talk about the latest one,
Okay.
Purusha Pretam, the male ghost. I think such a good satire, a police procedural.
Hmm.
It's a neo noir film.
Yeah.
There's got like so much going on, and the visual style, everything. Like, I think after the same director did Avasvium,
Hmm.
which was one of my favorite films of last year,
I know how big
and
a
this
fan
year
you are.
also. Yeah, I met him. He drove he dropped me to my hotel
Oh,
in Kerala. So we chatted a lot, and he told me about the future things he's still working on.
did he tell you
I
about
cannot
this
say much.
male ghost as well at that time?
No, no, no. I think this was already in post production.
Okay,
So he was
so
talking about something he's gonna do in future. He's told me not to say anything.
okay,
It's still under wraps, and they're still
okay.
working on it. But it's very exciting what's coming ahead, guys.
Did you know at the time that
So
male ghost was about to come or something like that?
no, he said he's working on a film that's in post production.
Okay,
I didn't ask much. And then he was talking about he actually was in going for a meeting.
okay.
It's for the future project, and it sounds very exciting. I think it will be like something big for Malayalam cinema.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, it was lovely, man. It was lovely throughout. I just felt it was tad bit long. Maybe could have been shorter, because I could
Hmm.
feel the length of it. But otherwise,
150 minutes, right?
amazing films. Yeah,
150-minute runtime,
two
like,
2 hour 30, some 40. I think two
yeah,
hour 40 minutes.
like, I sometimes feel that much of a runtime might work in theaters, but not for OTT sitting at home. Like, you have so much stuff to do around, like you're like kind of like waiting for it to get over after a point.
It's more like I think for time I don't think about 2 hours 30 or not. I don't think like that. I think like by the end, right? I felt like, oh, this is the ending. I'm assuming this is the end point of the
Hmm.
film. But then
Hmm.
the film still goes on. I think this is the end point. But it still goes on. It still goes on. And spoiler alert, but the ending scene in that house and what in the well, that's the end point. Again, the film still goes on and goes on, and then they show us what really happened. Then also the film goes on, and like I'm like, okay, I
You
feel
know,
the film is long.
I felt that way in Tu Jhooti Main Makkaar. Like, every time I'm feeling okay, it's coming to an end,
Yeah,
and they keep adding some sort of
yeah,
nonsense after one. So like, so in this film, like, what really stood apart for you? Like, was it the technical brilliance, or was it the
everything.
storyline?
Like, that's what I love even in Nan Pakkal you take, right?
Hmm.
Like, the concept of someone sleeps in the afternoon,
Hmm.
and that's a very Indian thing, right?
Yeah.
And you are in a way turning into a sci-fi supernatural thing. But the magic is you're not totally making it that, you're still feeling it vague, and able to tell
Yeah.
a story through that. Here also, you're taking an issue of these dead bodies which are unrecognized, who don't know, and how that system works, in the research that has gone behind, how they are, dug up, and they're supposed to be 7 days in the hospital, but they cut down to 3 days because there's so many bodies. Like, it's all, the film is not trying to make anyone villain. Of course, talking about police brutality and how police works, but it's still not, it's like the situation is like that. The laws have, to be mended, and you have to find ways and get rid of things, and through that you are adding, such a interesting characteristics. You are bringing two storylines, and we think they're correlated, but they're actually not. Then we find out about the surgeon's character, what she's actually going through, and how that has nothing to do with the cop, but he still, because cop had to face issues with because of that. And then his sub, his constable, and how from hierarchy of super, everyone police department, the top will shout at the bottom, he'll shout at the bottom, he'll shout at the bottom, and repeat the same lines literally. So there's so much elements you bring together, and then through that you tell a focused, like without any hindrance, a narrative which is so like without any, what do you say, any issues, it's directly telling you, it's doing everything well. It's not like, just they just, you call it a mess, right? Sometimes when things don't work out, like there's so many elements, it's a mess. It's not that, and that's, I think, the beauty of this film.
Screenplay is the key. I mean, not being a mess is, it all comes down to the screenplay and the edit, of course. But as we thought that it could have been a little shorter, it's like, if you had like that one last chance before the final edit goes out, if you had to make it shorter, like which chunk you thought was kind of
See,
stretched?
when I say shorter, right, it's not something when cut in edit. It goes into writing.
Okay.
That it's like, you write in such a way that you cover all the aspects, and everything comes together. But here what happens is, you think maybe this is the end, but you have not resolved it, so you have to keep going. So the way of resolving is not, I would not say done well, I would say done in a different way, what would I would expect it.
Okay.
And that's why I'll not call it an issue. I'll just call it, for me personally, I felt it was long, maybe in the writing or in the way they executed the last portion, last 30 minutes. They could have, like, even I thought, I wish they didn't had shown us what had really happened, to keep it vague. Is he telling the truth or not? But then again, throughout the film, we always got to know what the truth is. It's not like throughout the film it was vague. So maybe that's why they wanted to show what really happened. So yeah.
See,
but nothing like, edit, you can just cut out those things and it will not make sense.
No, I was about to say that's how a true filmmaking school student speaks, right? So shout out to Whistling Woods. Because
don't give them too much credit.
after framing the question, I thought, okay, that probably didn't make as much sense as it did in my head when it came out. Probably wrong selection of words, but you answered it very well.